Local healthcare professionals warn of a surge in COVID-19 cases following Thanksgiving. Joplin police arrest 4 suspects in an armed robbery in the North Park Mall parking lot, and Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we look at the opening night of the Carl Junction Girls Basketball Tournament. And we want to know if you think new COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place following all of this Thanksgiving travel. But first, a check on your forecast.
Another frigid one here in the 4 states from the Freeman Health System sky camera. 27 degrees with a wind chill right now of 19. Additional temperatures include 27 in Neosho, 28 in Parsons, and 22s in both Fort Scott and Nevada, with an extremely clear Skywatch storm tracker, even with the sweeping radar on. There's no cloud cover. There's no precipitation. Look at that. Straight up and down, north and south, clear as can be. When we talk about the national perspective, we still got activity out to the northeast. Jet stream had a little bit of easterly push on it. That's about it. That snow continues to dominate the Ohio River Valley up to the Great Lakes. As far as snow for us, yeah, well, let's talk about that. Now, Tuesday is going to be dry and just a little bit warmer than what we had yesterday. We'll throw some 50s up there. Now, as we work into Wednesday, we start off clear, but now look at what develops down to the west. It begins as rain for us Wednesday afternoon into the evening, but then it's late Wednesday, early Thursday. Look, little bit flipping over right there. It's not a whole lot by any means, and it really shouldn't impact our travel. And we should be done with our precipitation on Thursday about the noon hour. But yeah, it's going to be cold enough that we do see just a little bit wanting to flip from the old rain to little light snow. Not enough to have any accumulation or anything like that, but an indicator that December is officially upon us, with today being the day to turn your calendar.
Yeah, it's December now. Moving on.
'Tis indeed.
2020 only has one month
So what are we
remaining.
going to do next month? Because we blame everything on 2020. And if things really, it's not looking like we're going to have a whole lot of changes to begin 2021.
Can we be positive and worry about that when it gets to 2021?
Agreed.
Okay.
You're right. You're
I'd
right.
rather be glass half full here.
Okay. I'm on board with you. I will be that this morning as well.
All right.
How about that?
Up until the 1st, and then we're just going to start the year with a smile.
I've got toys around. I'm surrounded by toys. How can I not smile?
Yeah. We got a lot to look forward to, Les.
You know what I say to 2020? Let it go.
Speaking of all these toys, KOAM Toy Box, first Toy Box Tuesday is today at noon. We're going to have a telethon. If you can't join us at noon, 5 or 6, you can donate anytime online on our website. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com.
Oh, join us at noon, because Tanya and I have no idea. We're going to have fun. I guarantee that.
We
Other than
are.
that, we don't know what's going to happen.
We've got our friends at Peerless Products in Fort Scott joining us, answering the phones. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have fun. All right. For a good cause. Definitely for a good cause. All right. Thanks, Michael. Local healthcare professionals brace for a surge in cases following Thanksgiving. They say they expect surges following Thanksgiving gatherings, just as there were at Memorial Day and Halloween. So right now they're preparing by increasing the number of beds in their COVID units and asking 4 staters to follow recommendations like wearing masks and social distancing.
We currently are increasing the number of rooms that we have dedicated to COVID. We are also increasing some of the electronics that we utilize to monitor people, making sure that all of these rooms are properly equipped.
95 area residents are currently hospitalized in Joplin hospitals. The CDC recommends people get tested 3 to 5 days after traveling, and that they quarantine for 7 days, even if that test comes back negative, just to be safe. The Newton County Health Department says COVID's incubation time is about 2 to 14 days. That means over the next 2 weeks, surrounding counties could see a spike in cases. If you plan on doing any holiday travel for Christmas, the Newton County Health Department says you should try to isolate yourself for at least 14 days beforehand.
So if we try to isolate ourselves if possible, so that we ensure that we have not been in contact with the virus, not been exposed, then we can feel much more safe to travel and see those loved ones that may be at a higher risk.
Newton County says they have 412 active COVID cases, which is actually down from 500 active cases on November 22nd. In the early days of the pandemic, a group of medical professionals from Kansas City took their talents to New Orleans to help hospitals struggling to keep up with the surge of patients. And now, as hospitalizations rise in the KC area, medical professionals in New Orleans are repaying the effort. Reporter Caitlin O'Kane has more.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit, nurses at Tulane Medical Center didn't know what to expect.
We became overwhelmed very quick. It was chaotic. It was a scary time.
Fortunately, 200 nurses from other HCA healthcare hospitals were willing to travel to Louisiana to help, many of them from Research Medical Center in Kansas City. Katie New said the visiting nurses were crucial.
For them to come out to us during the start of this pandemic and never have treated it before, I think they get a big ups to them, because that was a very scary situation that they signed themselves up for.
The pandemic raged on, and in November, the nurses in Kansas City needed help. Katie and her coworkers at Tulane answered the call.
We were asked by our manager on Wednesday if we would be interested in coming to help the Kansas City nurses out. So we all worked so tightly together, and we knew we could take on any challenge, and we were helped so much, and we knew what they were facing, and it was only right that we paid them back.
Nurse Kylie Bolin was impressed that nurses from Tulane were willing to travel to Kansas City.
We are so appreciative of them coming, and especially coming during this time, being away from their family and friends, and just, we called them and asked them for help, and like Katie said, it was without hesitation.
To Katie, she was simply repaying the favor.
To be able to give them that relief that we know we received from them, it further locks in that nursing is a brother and sisterhood, and I know I chose the right profession.
The Tulane nurses were in Kansas City over Thanksgiving, away from their families, but closer than ever to their fellow nurses.
The cafeteria workers, every time we walk in, they say New Orleans. They've given us great recommendations on places to eat, the barbecue spots, because Kansas City's so famous for barbecue. It's been a bonding experience for sure.
Having a group of people who are willing to drop everything and come help makes me so proud to work here.
That's a great story. Well, Joplin police arrest 4 suspects in an armed robbery in the North Park Mall parking lot Monday night. Police say the suspects led officers on a chase, and the chase ended with the arrest of 3 of the 4 suspects. The 4th suspect was arrested later at home on East Zorro when a resident told police a person was hiding in her laundry room. It's 5:07.
Sunrise at 7:13. It's going to be sunny and cool today with south gusts of 20 miles per hour. It's the wind shifting a little bit, means our temperatures better than what we had yesterday. We'll make it up into the 50s today, as opposed to 46 is where we topped out at Chanute yesterday. Don't forget, Wednesday evening, that's when it starts as rain. Could see a little flip over to some light snow on Thursday. Shouldn't affect our travel though. And pretty seasonable temperatures, really, when you think about it. We just got used to being warm for a while, but now it's welcome to December.
Welcome to December. All right. You just gave me a reason to smile. We're in our last month. Love it.
How about that?
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we look at the opening night of the Carl Junction Girls Basketball Tournament. Plus, we want to know if you think new COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place following all the Thanksgiving travel. Be sure to log on to our Insta poll and vote as well. And a look at how the United States plans to distribute the first round of COVID-19 vaccines. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Opening night of the Carl Junction Girls Basketball Tournament. I always love covering that thing. It's such a good time, such great teams. Now in the first round, Neosho and Seneca squaring off for a spot in the semifinals. These two actually just played last week. Wildcats won that one by 5 and come in 2-0 on the year. Early on, Olivia Hickson, leave her open in the corner, she'll knock it down. Neosho out to an early lead, 18 on the night for Hickson. Other end, Parker Long, boom, call the glass. But Neosho sharing the ball in the first half. Michelle Lindsay to Bailey Bowers. Bowers, basket and foul. Then Rain Harris, another nice pass to a cutting Reagan McKinturf. Wildcats lead by 7 at halftime. To the fourth, Seneca sticking around with Aaliyah Grotjohn with the steal. She turns it into a three-point game, but Neosho closes it out. Bowers behind everyone. Easy off the glass for two. Neosho beats Seneca for the second time in a week. Final score 52-44. After that, it's Joplin aiming for a 3-0 start, taking on McDonald County in round one. Sam Smith for the Mustangs turns, scores off the glass. Mack County's got a 4-point lead. Eagles respond off the inbound. Izzy Hughes, corner three. Joplin now up 4 points after the first quarter. Mack County closes in. Sydney Killian straight to the rim, and we're tied at 15 at halftime. In the third quarter, Ella Hafer. Oh, you put it up soft enough, it'll go down. 3-point lead. Hafer making plays on defense. Get it out. Thank you, number 24. Familiar number for that name. Wonder why. Joplin now 3-0. Eagles win at 34-25. Webb City Cardinals sweep the COC League Football Awards this season as running back Devrin Weathers, your COC Offensive Player of the Year, ran for more than 1,700 yards, added 28 touchdowns. Tragan Parker, he is the Defensive Player of the Year. The Missouri Southern baseball commit had 6 picks this season, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. COC Coach of the Year, you guessed it, John Rodman. 298 wins, 28 losses. That's right, 298 wins, only 28 losses in 24 years with the Cardinals. You can check out the complete all COC League honors in this story on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, a Vanderbilt University senior makes sports history over the weekend as the first woman to play in a Power 5 conference college football game. Thank you, Miss Fuller. And check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Let's call it 5:17 on this Tuesday morning. Live look from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. Another cold one, 27 degrees, only feeling like it is 19 right now. Everybody below the 32-degree mark. How about Pittsburgh going chiming in at 22, Miami 21, and then we've got Fort Scott and Nevada up at 22. So it's almost like that sliver right down the middle is where we have the coldest temperatures. Not to say that everybody to the east and the west isn't freezing cold as well. Clean Skywatch Storm Tracker, really nothing going on in the Midwest as we turn our calendar to December 1. And average high this time of year is 51, and believe it or not, we're going to be right on par for that. So here's what it actually feels like when you wake up and walk out the door. Only 18 in Commerce, a couple 17s in Nevada and Stockton, and 18 as well in Neodesha. Tanya and I were talking yesterday about a little celestial calendar for a new month. Well, guess what? Even though technically the November full moon, the Beaver Moon, was yesterday, you can still see a great shot of it even for really the next 3-4 days. And for the entire month, Mars is going to be extremely visible. Best shot, when you talk about the meridian up top, about 8-9 p.m. And of course, with sunset being so early, you have plenty of dark skies. Take a look at it. Big one, December 21st, the old Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. 2 planets going to be 1/10 of a degree apart. They'll be the closest since 1623. And oh, by the way, speaking of December 21st, it is also the winter solstice that happens at 7:30 December 21st morn. Our sunrise today is 7:13. Going to be a little close to the 40s, probably about 10 o'clock. Let's get to the good stuff here. We can fast forward through that. Future track. Here's what everybody's been talking about. Are we going to get how much snow? Well, it's not going to be. Not everybody's going to see snow, folks. Anyway, on Wednesday, the Gulf moisture rolls in, begins its rain for Wednesday evening. Yeah, we see a little bit of it wanting to flip over, but once again, it's not going to be anything that hampers travel, but an indicator that, for those of you that will see a dusting or whatnot, you can brag, take pictures, and send it to your friends who say, man, all I wanted to see was some snow, and all we got was rain. Turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page. Could see a spike in coronavirus cases in the coming weeks after millions of Americans traveled for Thanksgiving. Mark Meredith with a look at new COVID-19 restrictions going into place on the heels of the holiday weekend.
Health officials are bracing for another coronavirus surge. Despite desperate pleas from experts to stay home, millions of Americans took to the skies and highways to visit family and friends for the Thanksgiving holiday. Nearly 1.2 million people were screened at U.S. airports on Sunday alone, setting a new record for air travel since the beginning of the pandemic.
You see the difference 2 or 3 weeks from now, which would put it right at the time that people would be traveling for Christmas. So all things considered, we're not in a good place.
Now, states and counties across the country are cracking down, imposing new COVID-19 restrictions. New Jersey is benching indoor youth sports and limiting outdoor gatherings to 25 people. Out west in Los Angeles County, the most populous county in the nation, entered a 3-week stay-at-home order on Monday, with all public and private gatherings with anyone outside a single household banned. California's governor warned of even tougher measures in the coming days, saying intensive care units in his state could hit capacity by mid-December if hospitalizations continue to set records.
If these trends continue, we're going to have to take much more dramatic, arguably drastic action.
Americans remain largely split on their opinions of restrictions, a running theme throughout this pandemic.
I don't think the restrictions are necessary because people are going to lose their jobs.
I think it's necessary because it prevents more of the disease to come out.
Our question on the Facebook, should new COVID-19 restrictions be put in place following Thanksgiving? And you can also vote on our Insta poll. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Probably no coincidence, Health Watch is next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the United States gears to distribute a COVID-19 vaccine. United Airlines is already using chartered flights to fly Pfizer shots from overseas ahead of FDA approval. CBS's Chris Van Cleve has more on the mass air shipment of a COVID vaccine.
Some 40 million doses of coronavirus vaccine are already being produced. As soon as the FDA approves, they'll start shipping.
This is going to be one of the most challenging public health distribution efforts we've seen.
Complicating the effort, the Pfizer vaccine must be kept at -94 degrees and is shipped in batches of about 1,000 doses, packed in specialized containers cooled by dry ice.
Every box will have a monitor that goes with it, so we'll be able to monitor not only the temperature, but where the shipments are going.
DHL will handle some international shipments of vaccine, moving them from the factory to an airport under guard.
No one wants to fail. Everybody knows that this vaccine is basically a source of life.
DHL showed us its operation at Miami's airport, where vaccine shipments will temporarily be stored in freezers and topped off with dry ice before being loaded onto planes and sent to South America. Upon landing, those vaccines will be put on trucks and delivered. U.S. Airlines will also play a key role. United flew its first shipment of Pfizer's vaccine last week. Moderna's vaccine will be easier to move as it doesn't need to be stored at such a low temperature. This is essentially a giant refrigerator, and it's where United would put something that needs to be kept cool until it gets picked up by another shipper. This, all pharmaceuticals here, waiting for delivery. Companies like FedEx will be part of the effort to quickly get the vials from central shipping hubs out to cities and states.
It's going to be hard to imagine this going off without a hitch, that there likely are unanticipated issues that are going to arise when you're shipping that many vaccine doses all around the country.
Chris Van.
Well, drug maker Moderna pushes for emergency approval of its new coronavirus vaccine. Moderna says it will apply for U.S. and European emergency authorization for its COVID vaccine on Monday. That was yesterday. Now, the drug maker cited full results from a late-stage study showing it was 94.1% effective with no serious safety concerns. That means they meet requirements set by the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use before the final stage of testing is complete. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Sunrise at 7:13, another chilly day, especially this morning with wind chills in the teens and low 20s. Now the wind has shifted on us, and because it's working in from the south, sunshine will have a little bit more effect than what it did yesterday, and we're able to make it up into the 50s. Clear and cool as far as what we're looking at on future track after we cruise through a Tuesday in the 50s. So then we can start talking about some cloud cover that arrives on Wednesday and some precip that begins to work in from the south. Now it starts as rain for the afternoon hours, and then as we get into Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, little flip over right there. Best shot to see any accumulation is going to be up in the northwestern portion of the 4 states. Farther south you get, it will remain as rain. Cool Thursday, only 41. Then we're back into the high 40s, low 50s as we head into the weekend. We'll be right back after this.
Local healthcare professionals warn of a surge in COVID-19 cases following Thanksgiving. Joplin police arrest 4 suspects in an armed robbery in the North Park Mall parking lot, and Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we want to know if you think new COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place following all this Thanksgiving travel. And a Vanderbilt University senior made sports history over the weekend as the first woman to play in a Power 5 conference football game. But first, a check on your forecast.
That's a little bit of a crazy story right there, because it would have been great if Vanderbilt would have scored some points. They're playing Missouri, giving her some additional opportunities. They're so terrible they couldn't do that. And her coach got fired. Yeah, not her soccer coach. Her football coach got fired.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, there's crazy things going on in Nashville. Freeman Health System Sky Camera. Let's talk 4-state weather. I'll get off my SEC kick. It's 27 degrees, only feeling like 19 right now. Everybody below the freezing mark. It is a chilly one outside, clear and cold, with the bus stop forecast indicating sunrise at 7:13. Similar in yesterday, and that's hard pressed to get to that 40-degree mark even by 9 a.m. Now, big difference is the shifting wind, because it's going to work in from the south today. Even though we only saw 40s for the most part yesterday, we topped out at 46 in Chanute, topped out at 42 in Joplin. At least with the southerly breeze, we'll get up into the 50s on Tuesday. Now for future track, after a clean Tuesday, we get a little cloud cover that builds in on Wednesday. Now for the afternoon hours, it starts off as rain, but as those temperatures drop, we see a little bit of it flipping over there into wintry mix. Best shot for any accumulation is really going to be to the north-northwest. Farther south you go, especially along 44 and south of that, it's just going to stay as rain. Shouldn't hamper our travel, but I know a lot of people actually looking forward to maybe a little dusting on the ground. Give us something to talk about there.
Yeah, might get a little bit of something, a little taste of winter at the first part of December.
Yeah, I think everybody's just kind of, they just want they just want a little taste of the holidays. That's what it is, and I completely understand it.
We can handle it. We can do it. Yep. All right, moving on. Kansas's election results are now official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers. Governor Kelly, Secretary of State Scott Schwab, and Deputy Attorney General Athena Endaya met at the State House to certify the state's election results. With every county passing, the results for Kansas are now final. As online shopping continues to increase during the holiday season, there could also be an increase in porch pirates waiting to grab your packages from your front porch. KOAM's Caitlin Shives spoke with the Joplin Police Department to get some tips to help you keep your packages safe this Christmas season.
A porch pirate is a thief that steals packages right off your front porch. And as more people turn to online shopping while staying home due to the pandemic, package thefts are increasing.
Unfortunately, it is a common trend and a common practice, especially with the increase of online sales. We're starting to see more and more reports of these each and every year, and we expect this year to for the trend to continue.
The Joplin Police Department saw a slight increase in the number of larcenies from September to October this year, but say they are down in cases from this time last year.
Christmas time, they're going to seize on opportunities, and so this is about informing the public, and the more information you have, the better choices you can make.
However, they are worried that numbers will increase as deliveries for Christmas time start to come around.
We know there's going to be more deliveries happening to residences, so we're hoping that people will just heed the warnings and advice, and hopefully we'll see a decrease this year.
According to a study by Safewise.com, 67% of Americans say they shop online more since the pandemic started. Nearly 50% of Americans experienced package theft in the past year, and among those, over 75% happened during the pandemic.
If you can have your package delivered to a place of work, or to a relative's house or even a neighbor's house, if you can make those arrangements, that's the best possible solution number one. If you can't do that, a lot of these major carriers will have the option for you to pick up an item. You can hold it for pickup at the counter.
Captain Davis says having any kind of security monitoring device for your home is also helpful in catching porch pirates if you fall victim to one.
Anything you can do to secure your home and make yourself be more safe, we're absolutely 100% behind.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
Another tip for avoiding porch pirates: requiring a signature for packages. Well, local healthcare professionals brace for a surge in cases following Thanksgiving, just as there were at Memorial Day and Halloween. So right now they're preparing by increasing the number of beds in their COVID units and asking for staters to follow recommendations like wearing masks and social distancing. CDC recommends people get tested 3 to 5 days after traveling and that they quarantine for 7 days, even if that test comes back negative, just to be safe. The Newton County Health Department says COVID's incubation time is about 2 to 14 days. That means over the next 2 weeks, surrounding counties could see a spike in cases. If you plan on doing any holiday travel for Christmas, the Newton County Health Department says you should try to isolate yourself for at least 14 days beforehand.
So if we try to isolate ourselves if possible, so that we ensure that we have not been in contact with the virus, not been exposed, then we can feel much more safe to travel and see those loved ones that may be at a higher risk.
Newton County says they have 412 active COVID cases, which is actually down from 500 active cases on November 22nd. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, a Vanderbilt University senior made sports history over the weekend as the first woman to play in a Power 5 conference football game. Plus, tensions continue to rise in Iran following the assassination of a top nuclear scientist. We'll have the latest, but first, it's 5:37.
Roll sunrise at 7:13 for our Tuesday morning planner. Wind shifting, going to work in from the south. That'll mean, excuse me, a little warmer temperatures than what we had yesterday. Very seasonable. You can tell our average high there at the top of the screen for December 1 be 51 degrees. We'll be right on par with that. Jet stream, big trough right there, is creating snow all the way through the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys up to the Great Lakes and turns into rain for the northeastern portion of the United States. Here at home, bundle up. 27 in Neosho, 28 in Parsons, 23 right now in Fort Scott. Now, eventually, what we'll see develop is after a clear Tuesday, is a little action that's going to head our way on Wednesday. We can fast forward the old clock right here. First comes a cloud cover, and then for the afternoon hours, we start as rain, and then we see a little bit of it shift over. Yeah, a little bit of snow right there. Oh, the old wintry mix, late Wednesday night, early Thursday. Be back with World Watch. Well, let's do World Watch. We'll do it next.
Topping World Watch, tensions are rising in the Middle East. Iran is pointing the finger, saying it knows who assassinated its top nuclear scientist. And Tehran is seeking revenge. Greg Palcott has more.
The scientist who founded Iran's nuclear program is dead. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was laid to rest Monday. Iranian officials say he was ambushed and killed Friday outside Tehran, part of a plot by a team where machine guns and a vehicle wired to self-destruct were used, and they are blaming Israel.
There is a campaign here that the Israelis are conducting below the level of conflict to clearly slow down the Iranians' pursuit of a nuclear weapon.
An Iranian newspaper wants the regime to target one of Israel's largest cities, Haifa, seeking revenge. Tehran claims Israeli markings were found on a weapon. Iran's leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is also calling for retaliation.
They have to do something, right? Because they'll feel that their national pride is at stake. But what will they do? The Iranians will do something. My guess is they won't be able to escalate it in any great way.
All this bringing up questions about what President-elect Joe Biden would do with the Iran nuclear deal, which President Trump withdrew from. Fox News senior strategic analyst Jack Keane says the Biden administration may want to look at reformulating the agreement.
A permanent prohibition of nuclear weapons, unequivocally stated in the deal. A permanent prohibition of ballistic missile development, permanently stated in the deal. Anywhere, anytime inspections.
Israel has denied involvement in the assassination, but did put its embassies on high alert. Humanitarian officials are raising the alarm about conditions for refugees in Ethiopia and neighboring Sudan. The head of the UN Refugee Agency is calling for millions in aid to help refugees who fled to Sudan amid fighting in Ethiopia's Tigray region. UN believes thousands may have been killed since the conflict began in early November, and tens of thousands have left for neighboring Sudan. Ethiopia's government says federal forces took control of Tigray's regional capital on Saturday. But on Sunday, rebels claimed to have shot down a military plane and retaken one town. A major bushfire burning since mid-October continues to spread throughout Australia's Fraser Island, and that's according to Queensland Fire and Emergency Services. As of December 1st, local travel to the island has been restricted, and surrounding communities are being advised to limit movement. Queensland fire officials say fire and smoke conditions will affect visibility and air quality on Fraser Island and adjacent mainland areas over the coming days. Well, deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon reached a 12-year high between August of 2019 and July of 2020. During that period, nearly 7,000 square miles were destroyed. That's an increase of 9.5% from the year earlier period. It's the highest level of destruction since 2008. Deforestation has soared since far-right President Jair Bolsonaro took office in January of 2009. Bolsonaro's policies have defunded agencies responsible for preventing illegal logging, mining, and ranching in the Amazon. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. KOAM's Toy Box campaign is back for its 32nd year. This year, as in years past, we're collecting toys and donations from viewers like you. Donated and purchased toys will then go to area distribution centers like the Salvation Army and be given to families in need. And you can donate online anytime and find a list of drop-off locations at KOAMnewsnow.com or on our KOAM News Now app. And of course, today kicks off our very first Toy Box Tuesday telethon. You can join us right here for the KOAM News at noon, 5 or 6, and we'll take your calls and your donations and do the shopping for you.
All right, time to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Instapoll asking, should new COVID-19 restrictions be put in place following Thanksgiving? And we'll begin our comments with Dave Sorek, who says no. Dave says no additional restrictions. He says people who are educated and concerned can regulate their own behavior. All of these mandates focus on controlling others, not encouraging self-control. Dave says, wash your own hands, stay home if you choose. Those are decisions you make. Dave Patton says, just going to leave this here. Seems like everyone's forgotten. Quote, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. End quote. That would indeed be the Fourth Amendment. Rick Norton says no. Rick says, stop living in fear. And Will Batius says, I refuse to comply. I will not comply. Take your mask mandates and social distancing guidelines and place them where the sun doesn't shine. Your feelings will never trump my rights. John Tribune, he says no as well. Let's get the vaccine out to people. No one tells me and my family what to do in my house. Good morning, America. Good morning, Mr. John. As far as the Instapoll goes this morning, right now, hey, can't split any more than that. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Local healthcare professionals brace for a surge in cases following Thanksgiving. They say they expect surges following Thanksgiving gatherings, just as there were at Memorial Day and Halloween. So right now they're preparing by increasing the number of beds in their COVID units and asking for staters to follow recommendations like wearing masks and social distancing. CDC recommends people get tested 3 to 5 days after traveling and that they quarantine for 7 days, even if that test comes back negative, just to be safe. The Newton County Health Department says COVID's incubation time is about 2 to 14 days. That means over the next 2 weeks, surrounding counties could see a spike in cases. Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers. Governor Kelly, Secretary of State Scott Schwab, and Deputy Attorney General Athena Indaya met at the State House to certify the state's election results. With every county passing, the results for Kansas are now final.
An increase in online shopping during this pandemic could also mean an increase in porch pirates. A study done by Safewise.com found that more than 75% of package thefts from the past year occurred during the pandemic. Joplin Police Department is concerned about an increase in property theft during this holiday season, with more people staying home and ordering online. That's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you head out the door.
Thanks in part to a little wind shift that's now going to work out of the south today. Combine that with the sunshine and going to be about 8 to 10 degrees warmer than what we experienced yesterday, able to make it up into the low 50s, right on par for where we should be as we turn the calendar and begin December. For our 7-day forecast, yeah, it's still going to be cool throughout the week. I think the important thing is to talk about what develops here Wednesday night and carries us on in the Thursday. So let's go ahead and put Future Track in motion. There's your clean, clear Tuesday. Now Wednesday, first off, a little cloud cover. And now look at what develops down to the south. Combination of the Gulf moisture that begins to work in. And as it does, we see it begin as rain and then flip over a little bit. Not a whole lot of widespread snow. Not everybody's going to see snow on Wednesday night / Thursday morning. More so up to the northwest right there, a little accumulation. Go down south along I-44 and whatnot. It's just going to be rain. And really, it shouldn't hamper our travel that much. The ground's going to be too warm for it really to affect any of our roadways. And it looks like it's going to stay away from 44, 49, and 400. But of course, we'll keep you updated, all the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
A Vanderbilt University senior made sports history over the weekend as the first woman to play in a Power 5 conference football game. Sarah Fuller, who is a goalkeeper for the women's soccer team, says she plans to stick around on the gridiron too. CBS's Chris Martinez reports from Los Angeles.
21-year-old senior Sarah Fuller kicked off the second half of the Vanderbilt, Missouri football game Saturday and scored herself a place in the history books.
What a day. What a day in college football.
Fuller became the first woman to play in a Power 5 conference football game.
Honestly, it's just so exciting.
Her kick traveled 30 yards before Missouri pounced on the ball.
Run with the
Fuller is the goalkeeper for Vanderbilt's conference-winning women's soccer team and began practicing field goals with a soccer ball last semester. She joined the football roster after the team's other kickers were put in COVID quarantine.
She prepared all week, and she did what she was supposed to do. And she was as prepared as anybody for this ball game.
Fuller wore the phrase, "Play like a girl," on her helmet, a nod to a nonprofit organization encouraging girls to play sports and gain access to educational programs.
All I want to do is be a good influence to the young girls out there. You can do anything you set your mind to.
Fuller says she's sticking with the team until they kick her off. Chris Martinez, CBS News.
Fuller asked the coaches for footage on NFL kickers so she could refine her technique. And Coach Derek Mason was actually fired Sunday after losing the first 8 games of the season, which was his 7th with the Commodores.
An idea of just exactly the type of athlete Sarah Fuller is, Tanya. Her contact point went from 1.8 seconds to 1.4 seconds after 4 days of practice.
Oh, wow.
4 days of practice, and she clipped off nearly half a second on her contact time. That's ridiculous.
Like you said, it would have been nice if they would have scored more so she'd have more opportunities. And
such is the state of Vanderbilt football these days. Yeah. Quite a great story though. That was, I tell you what, everybody's just, I made sure that I ran to the store and got back for halftime because I knew they were going to have her kick second half. Because I knew that may be your only opportunity to. She won't go kick any extra points with the way that offense was working on Saturday, that's for sure. KOAM News Now Facebook page as I am done talking Vanderbilt football. That's as much Vanderbilt football as we've talked in God knows how many years on this show. Asking if you think there should be new restrictions in place with the coronavirus surge. Guy Hansen says, why not harness capitalism and pandemic to bring about a total collapse of an economic system and replace it with socialism with a fascist flair? Gradually lure the people into a state of compliance to the state, replace jobs with stimulus / government incomes, control how many people can assemble peaceably or otherwise, unless mob and violence serve as the correct political purpose. We know the guy says that tongue-in-cheek, of course. Matt LaFata says, nope, you going to pay my bills and explain to my contractors why we can't work when no one is sick? Matt says, I don't think so. Glenn Ritchie says, rather than live in fear, we would rather die in fear alone in a hospital. Makes perfect sense. A lot of people going a little tongue-in-cheek this morning, aren't they? Instapoll this morning. We finally have a break of our 50-50 tie, albeit right along, just got a new percentage in right there. 51% of you say yes, 49 no. Let us know what you think. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Back right after this. A little shift in the wind going to help us out temperature-wise as we'll be able to make it up into the 50s. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
Local healthcare professionals warn of a surge in COVID-19 cases following Thanksgiving. Joplin police arrest 4 suspects in an armed robbery in the North Park Mall parking lot. And Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we're going to take a look at the surge in Christmas tree sales this holiday season. And we want to know if you think new COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place following all the Thanksgiving travel. Be sure to go to our website and our Facebook and weigh in. But first, a check on your forecast.
And we have temperatures right now ranging from the low to high 20s. Everybody below the freezing point as we take a live look from the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin, where we have a wind chill of 20 degrees. Big factor is that third column right there, the wind. Now that it's shifted and works in from the south, that will actually bring us some warmer temperatures than yesterday, as there's not a thing on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. No clouds, no precipitation. Sunrise 7:13 on the bus stop forecast, and it's going to be a very sunny, clean morning. Now, as far as what we have on our weather trend, those some 50s up there today, so good 8 to 10 degrees warmer than what we had yesterday. Of course, everybody's wondering, well, what about this snow? Well, here you go. It's not going to be widespread. Little to no impacts travel-wise. Tanya loves it when I say that. It'll begin as rain here on Wednesday afternoon, take us into the evening. Not going to flip over into anything until really we get late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. It's mostly going to be up in the northwest is the only place that you're going to see any light accumulation, even in the central and southern portions. Even if you see a couple snowflakes, it's not going to be able to stick around. Ground's just not cold enough right now. Should hit those roads, and like I said, travel-wise, nah. We'll be okay.
That's great. I've got plans Wednesday evening, and the weather should not hamper them.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be doing anything outside.
Well, I'm saying it's not like a rain is not just a reason to steer clear of the road.
If you got to be out and about on Wednesday, you're fine. You get up Thursday morning, getting ready for work, it would be good.
Might need to be doing a little shopping or going out to eat or something, so you can still do that. Support
I'm
the
saving
local
that
economy.
for December 24th. Kenny and Rocky and the rest of the gang, that we all go shopping the Christmas Eve.
I got my tree up yesterday.
Yeah, I'm working on that. That's next on my list.
Just my tree, though. Well, the lights came with it, so I finally upgraded to a pre-lit one.
I have a list that I work off of.
Checking it twice?
No. I got to make the list first.
Oh. Here's some paper.
I need to get started?
We'll get you started.
Something like that.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, today we're giving you a chance to make a difference in the lives of 4 state families, and it's easy as making a phone call. During KOAM News at noon, our Toy Box Telethon operators will be taking your calls and monetary donations for the KOAM Toy Box. So all you have to do is grab your credit card and get ready to call in. And if you just can't wait, you can go online right now to make your donation. Just go to KOAMnewsnow.com or to the KOAM News app and click on Toy Box at the top of the page. While our annual Toy Box Tuesday campaign is kicking off once again, you may also be buying toys for the children in your own life. And it can be a challenge determining which ones to go for. For this reason, we're bringing in our very own Jesse Irwin, who has some advice on holiday shopping for kids this year. It's because you're a big kid, right, Jesse?
Yeah, this is exactly. And I'm specifically doing this for Michael because he's got to make his list sooner or later. So, unless they have specifically said what they want, picking out presents for children, I mean, it can be a nightmare. So here's a few things I wrote down yesterday that I think can be some helpful tips to keep in mind. So first, add to your context clues, right? I mean, you might know their interests and you hopefully know their age, but take it a step further, right? I mean, ask the adults and kids they live with how they've been spending their time at home this year. If they've picked up a hobby, build on that. Get them something that shows their support or shows that you support that hobby, or fund a bigger gift maybe that their parents are getting them. If they've just been sitting on the couch or don't have a particular interest yet, get them something that could grow into a hobby, because you never know what you might plant a seed for. Also, speaking of too much couch potatoing, make sure that your gift is not feeding into behavior that their parents want them to cut back on instead. So instead, you could actually get them an experience, right? Something they might be able to even do with their family at home. And lastly, you can get them something that represents your relationship with them. So if you've been mini golfing together, right? Get them a putt-putt set for around the house, or get them something that you played with growing up. Look, yo-yos, Lincoln Logs, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, a paint by the numbers kit. Even today, these classic toys are bringing joy to millions of people around the world. So those are just a few tips, Tanya, but I know you're a pro when it comes to this kind of thing, so I have no doubt you'll be good.
Well, I do have 3 boys, so that I don't know if that makes it easier or more of a challenge year after year. It's easy to shop for the little ones. 14-year-old.
Right, right.
Gotta pull out the
That's the
wallet
tip, just have more kids, yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. We'll be joining you again
Thanks, Tanya.
later in the show. Well, healthcare professionals anticipate a spike in COVID cases following the Thanksgiving holiday. KOAM's Zach Dodge has what they're doing now to prepare for a surge in cases and hospitalizations.
After Thanksgiving gatherings and Black Friday shopping, doctors expect to see more hospitalizations from COVID-19 as it continues to spread in the community.
We saw a bit of a spike following Halloween, so that just leads us to believe that obviously Thanksgiving probably will see a definite increase.
Following Halloween, Mercy Hospital saw an increase from 34 hospitalizations up to 50 in a 2-week period. And a month later, that number was still above 30.
Christmas is right on the heels of Thanksgiving, so I don't anticipate that the numbers will decrease.
At Freeman Hospital, they've already seen a few new hospitalizations since Thanksgiving, though it's hard to know for sure if they were from the holiday, since they normally start seeing surges between 5 and 14 days after. So they're getting prepared for a notable increase now.
We currently are increasing the number of rooms that we have dedicated to COVID. Then we have to make sure that we have the proper equipment, the proper monitoring for patients that we would need to put in there.
Doctors say the best way to protect others if you were in a high-risk situation over the weekend is to do what they've been saying for months now. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and social distance.
We're on the short end of this. We know it's going to continue for a while, but we've fought the good fight all of these months. Just continue, stay vigilant.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
As of Sunday, there were 95 area residents hospitalized at Joplin hospitals, and that includes at Freeman, Mercy, and Landmark. Well, Kansas's election results are now official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers. Governor Kelly, Secretary of State Scott Schwab, and Deputy Attorney General Athena Andaya met at the State House to certify the state's election results. With every county passing, the results for Kansas are now final. It's 6:07.
All right, so talking about shifting winds and whatnot, because that's really going to help us out and keep us 8 to 10 degrees warmer today than what we had yesterday. We will make it up into the low 50s for our first day of December. Still looking at rain moving in Wednesday late afternoon, evening, and lasting all the way into Thursday morning. Shifting over, a little bit of a wintry mix, more so in the northwestern portion of the 4 states. Farther south you go, it remains rain, should not have any travel impacts.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we'll be back with more after this. The demand for live Christmas trees is on the rise, even as industry experts say the artificial tree market continues growing roughly 4% each year. Ashley Stromier has more on what's causing more people to rush to the farms.
This is just, it's another level. It's off the hook.
The holiday season is in full swing as Christmas tree farmers across the country say they are starting to see larger than average crowds this time of year. But with roughly 80% of Americans reporting owning a fake Christmas tree, many farmers believe the pandemic is now helping to fuel the demand for live ones.
People have been hunkered down in their homes for a long time, and they are just looking for the opportunity to get out with their family and have a fun time.
We do still have a lot of trees left, but this is how it looks like after the second weekend in December.
Some customers agree, saying COVID-19 restrictions are giving them a chance to prepare for the holidays ahead of their normal schedules.
I'm in college, and so normally I don't come home until like a week before Christmas, but I'm home so much earlier this year because of COVID, so I have more time to decorate.
But shopping during a public health crisis comes with some challenges.
We've set lower maximum capacities. We're doing reservations online ahead of time. We require a mask on the property at all times.
And although more folks are flocking to the farms, they're not lingering around for long.
So you found a tree in 6 minutes?
Oh yeah, we made it quick this year.
Well, if you're bringing home a tree earlier this year, experts say giving it lukewarm water can help it absorb the liquid faster and keep it alive longer. Good advice. Well, as of yesterday, McDonald's will give you a free McRib if you shave your beard. All you have to do is tweet a pic of your clean-shaven face with the hashtag #ShaveForMcRibSweepstakes and tag @McDonald's. Now, the first 10,000 will get a code for a free McRib to order through Uber Eats, and then just shave the date for December 2nd when the McRib makes its official return. Let's send it over to Michael for something to talk about.
I don't even know how to pick up from that one.
Shave the
KOAM News
date.
Now Facebook page. Health officials bracing for another coronavirus surge. Our question to you: if you think additional restrictions need to be put in place following Thanksgiving. And we'll resume our comments with Sarah Dreisbach. Sarah says, yes, this isn't about freedom, it's about public health. And since so many in public seem to be unwilling or too selfish to take the steps needed to slow this virus, then mandates seem to be the only answer. Catherine Smith says, absolutely. For the same reasons we don't smoke in buildings anymore, for the same reasons we use stoplights, same reasons we have laws against driving drunk, etc. Too many people will never choose to help protect their fellow neighbors because they are innately selfish. Rob Getz, he says, no, don't give me any restrictions. And Michelle Pacini checking in from the club. Michelle says, wish people, including the president, would have taken this serious from the start. Then we would not be in the situation now as bad anyways. Like I said, be a part of the solution, not the problem. Love you, Mama. We love your mother, too. All right, KOAM News Now Instapoll. It's been back and forth all morning long. Right now, 51% say yes, new COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place. You got plenty of time to vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We're going to come back, talk weather, big brothers, big sisters as well with Jesse right after this. 6:17 on this Tuesday morning, first day of December, and what's going to be a gorgeous four-state start. Live look outside of Television City, and then we go to the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin. It's another cold one, though. 28 degrees, only feeling like 20. Everybody below the freezing point. You will notice a little shift in the wind, though, as it works in from the south. Today also happens to be the beginning of what we call meteorological winter. Runs from December, January into February right there. Average high of 51 on this first day of the new month. And we'll be right on par with that by the time we get to the afternoon. Now, as far as the celestial calendar goes, I'll go ahead and post this, but just want to bebop through here. December 21, the old Saturn-Jupiter conjunction is going to be awesome because it hasn't been that close since 1623. And as far as this first day of December being the beginning of meteorological winter, well, look at that. The winter solstice, it actually falls also on December 21st. For the bus stop forecast, sunrise at 7:13. Just another chilly one, hard pressed to get to 40 degrees by the time we get to 9 a.m. All the snow ranging from the Tennessee and Ohio River Valley up to the Great Lakes. But now we're starting to see the beginning of our next system make its way over the Rockies. Very seasonable, A lot of sunshine today. Big factor is that wind shifting in from the south, really helping us out. Now, as far as what we're going to have precipitation-wise, it begins Wednesday afternoon, takes us into Wednesday night. And as a matter of fact, late Wednesday, early Thursday, we see a little bit of it flipping over. Any accumulation numbers really going to be in the northwestern portion of the 4 states. Very, very light. Shouldn't hamper any travel. Chilly on Thursday, and then right back into the high 40s, low 50s on Friday and Saturday. Now, let's send it over to Jesse, who's joined by Monica Holmes of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Well, this morning we are joined by Monica Holmes with Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters. And Monica, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. Zoom. This is cool.
This
Different,
is the future.
new.
Well, I'm happy to be able to talk to you because honestly, there's some exciting news. We got to hang out with a little, I guess, a couple months ago. And can you give us a little bit of an update on him?
Yeah, so that was Jarnell.
Right.
Yep, and we did a waiting little segment on him, and he was recently matched.
That is super exciting. Okay.
And the
so
family
that's-
actually saw his story because they had mentioned that they saw him and that they thought they'd be a good match for him.
That's awesome. That's really cool news. All right. Well, I know there's a lot going on with Big Brothers Big Sisters, but right now there is a $25,000 cash giveaway fundraiser. So can you explain how this works and how Big Brothers Big Sisters benefits?
Yeah, so this is a statewide fundraiser. It's to raise money for kids that we serve throughout Kansas. And although it is statewide, any tickets sold in Crawford County, that money will stay in Crawford County. So there's only going to be 5,000 tickets sold. So it's first come, first serve, $50 per ticket. And then there's also, besides the $25,000 cash prize, there's 4 additional prizes that are pretty awesome as well.
There's clearly a huge connection between all the different chapters of Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters. I mean, can you explain a little bit of that relationship? Because it seems pretty integrated.
Yeah, we all work together. I mean, we meet Zoom right now. We used to meet once a month in person, but now it's through Zoom, and we all kind of work together. I mean, we're all here to do the same thing, and that's to serve kids. So we are one team, but then we just have our own little counties that we serve. So yeah.
Has it been hard making matches happen and continuing the relationships between bigs and littles throughout this second half of this year as the pandemic's continued on? It's sort of had its ebbs and flows.
Highs and lows, yeah. That was a concern of ours. How are we going to continue this? Are our bigs going to want to continue to meet with our littles? Are we going to be able to continue to make matches? But it's crazy because it hasn't been an issue at all. Our bigs have been awesome. They've continued to, if they don't want to meet in person, they've found some cool ways to meet with their littles virtually. Some of them have little packages that they've delivered for the kids, just fun little things to do with them. And then our new matches, I just had a match meeting last week that I sat on. It was just like this, we watched the little and the big meet for the first time virtually. Yeah.
That is too cool. That's awesome. Well, Monica, we really appreciate you taking the time to share the info with us. We're going to hop online and get some tickets because, I mean, who doesn't want to go for 25 grand and help a cause simultaneously?
I know, especially this time of year.
Exactly. Well, hey, thank you again. We'll have that information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, British researchers say they found a new way to heal broken bones with a type of bandage that could speed up the healing process. CBS's Ian Lee reports from London.
Scientists at this lab in England are trying to revolutionize how bones heal.
So there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing.
The team at King's College London created a futuristic bandage made from a new biomaterial that heals broken bones when implanted onto the site of the fracture.
We can apply them on the really large bone fracture, and we see that they promote bone repair.
The bandage is coated in a protein that enhances the bone's natural ability to repair, which speeds up the recovery process. Scientists found the bandage works even quicker when loaded up with a 3D collagen gel containing bone cells grown from a patient's stem cells.
Human bone-forming stem cells, we culture them on the bandage, and we engineer a 3D tissue within 1 week.
Researchers say this image shows how quickly the bandages work. On the left, a broken bone without the bandage, and on the right, with it. Scientists hope to expand the technology to treat more than just broken bones, taking aim at damage anywhere in the body.
To target stem cells within injury sites of other organs and see if they can also promote the repair of that tissue.
The treatment has already been tested successfully on mice, and scientists are now pushing for clinical trials on people. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Once the bone has healed, researchers say the bandage is designed to be absorbed by the body. Well, cancer survivors face a higher risk from the flu, making them more likely to be hospitalized or die from an infection. A study in the UK says that could mean they're also at higher risk from COVID-19 and should be prioritized for vaccinations. A study in a journal of the American Medical Association followed patients in a 16-week program. Those eating a low-fat, plant-based diet boosted their after-meal calorie burn and lost an average of 14 pounds. Well, there's new evidence that pollution from fires, power plants, and cars could be risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. Researchers in San Francisco studied brain scans of older Americans with cognitive decline. They found patients in the most polluted areas were 10% more likely to show signs of Alzheimer's. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Sunshine and a shift in the wind now that it works in from the south means a little bit warmer than yesterday, so we're able to make it up into the 50s. The next shot for rain develops tomorrow afternoon, takes us through the nighttime, flips over to a little wintry mix in the northwest on Thursday. We'll be right back after this.
Local healthcare professionals warn of a surge in COVID-19 cases following Thanksgiving. Joplin police arrest 4 suspects in an armed robbery in the North Park Mall parking lot, and Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we've got a lot going on this morning in Nation Watch, and we want to know if you think COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place following all of this Thanksgiving travel. But first, check on your forecast.
You can just look outside, and even though it's beautiful, you just kind of go, it just kind of looks cold out there. Freeman Health System sky camera, 28 degrees with a wind chill right now of 20. Key factor not only below the freezing mark, but also to the wind arrows. Because since they're coming in from the bottom there, that southerly breeze is going to help us out by the time we get to the afternoon as the Skywatch Storm Tracker clears a bell. Sunrise is going to be here in 42 minutes. We'll call it 7:13 on the bus stop forecast. Clear and cold for the kids. Luckily, the majority of the action stays over the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys up to the Great Lakes. We'll be able to make it up into the 50s on this first day of December. And so now we can talk about what's going to develop tomorrow. Even though we start off on the clear side on Future Track, you'll notice a little cloud cover begins to develop here Wednesday morning. And on the heels of that, there is some rain for Wednesday afternoon, evening, and night. And yes, we do see a little bit of it flipping over into a wintry mix. Any accumulation is going to be in the far northwestern portion of the 4 states and really shouldn't impact travel because it's not going to be widespread. And our ground's just a little too warm to really have any bearing on it. Back into the high 40s, low 50s as we head into the weekend. And you know what December 1 is, Tanya, right?
December 1.
Meteorological winter.
Yes, meteorological
now,
winter.
Astronomical winter will begin December 21st. That's when we'll have the solstice at 7:30 a.m.
I'd say the first day that it feels like
As
winter
our
was yesterday,
mutual
but,
friend Cody
yeah.
Coyle reminded me when I was breaking down planets and whatnot for everybody via text yesterday. Nerd alert!
Cody said nerd alert?
Oh, yes.
Nice.
He loves it when I break down the planets. He knows I geek out on that.
Oh, for all of you who remember, Cody Coyle used to be our sports director here at KOAM. Before that, I worked with him down in Abilene, Texas, many, many, many moons ago.
Many moons.
Like 17 years ago, moons ago. Wow.
Many, many moons.
It's been a few years. Yep. What a great family. What a great guy. All right. Local healthcare professionals brace for a surge in cases following Thanksgiving. They say they expect surges following Thanksgiving gatherings, just as there were at Memorial Day and Halloween. So right now they're preparing by increasing the number of beds in their COVID units and asking for staters to follow recommendations like wearing masks and social distancing.
We currently are increasing the number of rooms that we have dedicated to COVID. We are also increasing some of the electronics that we utilize to monitor people, making sure that all of these rooms are properly equipped.
95 area residents are currently hospitalized in Joplin hospitals. Well, KOAM's Kate Kelly spoke with a Seneca woman who changed her Thanksgiving plans due to the pandemic. And Kate has her story and the CDC's recommendations for testing if you did travel for the holiday.
Susan says she only shops where she knows she can safely socially distance, checking out a large flea market at Neosho. For her, the pandemic is personal.
Both of my in-laws did have COVID, and my father-in-law did pass away from it last week. So it kind of, it's very serious, and so I'm just trying to kind of keep my distance,
Rather than getting together with extended family over Thanksgiving, she kept things small.
We just decided it was best to just stay home and stay put.
Health officials are urging people to stay home throughout the holiday season, trying to prevent another surge in cases. Many travelers disregarded CDC guidelines, flocking to airports and hitting up highways to get home for Thanksgiving. Now we may pay the price.
The holiday travel has been a concern for health professionals across the United States. People traveling to other areas of the country where they might be exposed to the virus and then bring that virus back home to their home community.
The incubation period for COVID-19 is 2 to 14 days. Bergner says that if there's a spike from Thanksgiving, we'll start seeing it in about 2 weeks. The CDC is recommending people get tested 3 to 5 days after traveling and that they quarantine for 7 days, even if that test comes back negative, just to be safe.
Most people tend to show symptoms by day 7. So to get tested within 3 to 5 days should, if you have the virus, should be a good time where it would show as a positive, but that's not always the case.
Susan says her family plans on staying home throughout the remainder of the holiday season. She wishes more people would do the same.
I guess it's just your own personal decision. Personally, I don't feel comfortable doing it, and I try not to really go too many places.
In Neosho, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
Newton County says they have 412 active COVID cases, which is actually down from 500 active cases on November 22nd. Bergner says they hope to continue that downward trend, advising people who do plan on getting together to try to quarantine ahead of time to limit COVID exposure. An increase in online shopping during this pandemic could also mean an increase in porch pirates, and those are thieves who steal packages right off your front porch. A study done by Safewise.com found that more than 75% of package thefts from the past year occurred during the pandemic. Nearly 50% of Americans experienced package theft in the past year, 10% more than in 2019. Joplin Police Department is concerned about an increase in property theft during this holiday season, with more people staying home and ordering online. Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers. Governor Kelly, Secretary of State Scott Schwab, and Deputy Attorney General Athena Andaya met at the State House to certify the state's election results. With every county passing, the results for Kansas are now final. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. The latest on the presidential transition after several states make their election results official. Plus, we want to know if you think new COVID-19 restrictions should be put in place following all the Thanksgiving travel. We let you weigh in on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. But first, it's 6:37.
About 8 to 10 degrees warmer today than what we had yesterday as we begin December with plenty of sunshine. South wind coming in 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting up to 20. And afternoon highs into the low to mid 50s. Overnight, dropping back down close to freezing. Won't be as cold as what we've had Past couple of nights, that's thanks in part to the development of some overnight cloud cover. Still looking at rain beginning tomorrow afternoon, carrying us through the night and flipping over to a little wintry mix in the northwest for late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. I'll be right back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, President-elect Joe Biden's administration continues to take shape and continues to do so in historic fashion. This as President Trump keeps up his fight to challenge election results in the court of public opinion, if not courts of law. Deborah Alfarone has the latest from Washington.
President-elect Joe Biden will today announce nominees for key economic positions, and once again there will be several historic firsts. After introducing an all-female communications team over the weekend, he will next announce Janet Yellen as the first woman to lead the Treasury Department. And Neera Tanden will be the first woman of color to be nominated to lead the Office of Management and Budget. Though the head of the Liberal Center for American Progress think tank is already drawing criticism from some Republican lawmakers who say she's been too harsh on Twitter towards the GOP.
I just think she's going to be radioactive.
Honestly, the hypocrisy is astounding. If Republicans are concerned about criticism on Twitter, their complaints are better directed at President Trump, who has made a hobby out of denigrating Republican senators on Twitter.
As Mr. Biden's cabinet continues to fill out, President Trump continues to lash out against Republicans who won't overturn their state's legal results. The president took to Twitter, calling out GOP governors who don't support his unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud. Yesterday, Wisconsin certified its elections results, as did Arizona, which went to a Democratic presidential candidate for only the second time since 1952. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris also met with climate policy staff on Monday to discuss joining the Paris Agreement on their first day in office. Dr. Scott Atlas resigned from his position as President Trump's coronavirus special advisor on Monday. The leave comes after his 130-day special government employee contract was coming to an end. While serving in his position, Atlas, a neuroradiologist, clashed with other members of the task force, such as Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx. Most notably, Dr. Atlas was called out for telling the residents of Michigan to, quote, rise up against coronavirus restrictions put in place to reduce cases and the spread of the virus. Well, the U.S. Navy has decided to scrap a warship severely damaged in a fire this past summer. USS Bonheim Richard burned for 5 days as it was docked at a San Diego pier. The Navy estimated it could cost more than $3 billion to repair the ship and decided it was not worth it. What a loss. And that's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Morning Talker.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll asking if you think additional COVID-19 restrictions need to be put in place coming off of the Thanksgiving holiday. And we will resume our comments with Benjamin Belcher. Benjamin writes, despite asking people to stay home, as if every single politician who told us to stay home didn't immediately go and have dinner with their families. The media, including KOAM, is a complete joke. We'll do what we want. Tina Anderson says, yes, there should be additional restrictions. Tina says, tired of hearing others say it's about their rights. Seriously? It's a pandemic. Patriotism is doing whatever it takes to protect each other so that we can get back to some kind of normal. Tina says, wear a mask and social distance. Vicki Elders, though, she says no. Practice distancing, wash your hands frequently, and keep your hands away from your face. So many people are so over this COVID and sick of the mask mandate. And Rick Norton, he says no. Stop living in fear, people. And Wes McDaniel, thank you for a little levity. I always enjoy that. All right, KOAM News Now Instapoll. Actually, we were sitting at 50-50 here not too long ago, but right now we got 60% of you saying yes. Should be additional restrictions put in place compared to 40% saying no. You can still vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. All that being said, let's celebrate some birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Brian Sauer, a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force. He served in Iraq in 2003 where he earned the Presidential Unit Citation Medal. A member of the 184th Air Refueling Wing and a native of Girard, Kansas, we salute you, Brian Sauer, our four-state hero.
Get the birthday list started off with a big number 1 right there. Looks like he already dove into the ice cream, I think. Huxley Hines, a very happy birthday to you in Anderson.
Paisley Cook turning 3 years old this year. What a sweetheart there. Paisley is in Yoda.
Lucas Churchill celebrating his 5th birthday. Ooh, and look at that Avengers shirt he's got on. Too cool, man. Too cool. Happy 5th to Lucas in Nevada.
All right, and we've got Wyatt Riggs turning 6 years old this year. I understand he's a kindergartner at Lakeside Elementary in Pittsburgh. And he's about to be a big brother again at the end of the year. What a job.
The WJT, Wyatt Jess Thompson, 6th birthday. Reminds me of warmer times out by the pool there, Big Wyatt. He's celebrating in Mound Valley.
In Arcadia, Kansas, McKenna Counts turning 9 years old.
Straight cash. Yeah, Cash Pitts. Look at that. County fair extraordinaire right there. A happy 9th birthday to Cash. He celebrated over the weekend. We're going to carry it into this week, Cash. Happy birthday in Fort Scott.
All right, J.D. Clark is turning 11 this year with the catch. J.D. in Parsons.
In Redfield, we got Callie Graham, who's celebrating a 12th birthday. Callie, I want you to have a marvelous day.
All right, Morgan Huggins is turning 14 years old this year. Happy birthday to Morgan in Sheldon, Missouri.
And Carrie Justice with a 17th birthday. Carrie, I want you to have a marvelous birthday in Quapaw.
All right. Bailey Raymeyer turning 21 years old this year in Columbus.
And from Mom, Dad, and Meemaw, Wes Meadows, that's where those birthday wishes come from. Wes turning 37 in Liberal.
All right, happy birthday, Wes. And happy birthday going out to Kevin Westerhole, turning the big 5-0.
Ah,
The red stripe.
red stripe.
Nice.
There we go. Now we're talking, Kevin.
Is he in Jamaica? No.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like
we got Kevin in Nevada,
I like that.
turning the big 5-0.
Lori Borland, happy 51st to Miss Lori. She is in Carthage.
All right, and Harriet Thornton turning 86 years old this year. Great smile there, Harriet, in Thayer, Kansas.
A day late, but still worth celebrating, that is for sure, for Margie Wilson, as Miss Wilson is turning 70, and Margie, a happy birthday in Weir. And Laura Green is celebrating her 73rd birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Laura in Columbus. Happy birthday, happy anniversary to all. Here's where you can send them into. KOAMnewsnow.com/birthdays. If you go the email route, that is birthdays with an S, birthdays at KOAMTV.com. Do our fabulous Will York, who puts all our birthdays and graphics together, do him a favor and just make sure you specify exactly what day it needs to run. And so we'll get it on and make it as smooth as possible for you. Now, before we get out of here, I got to go back to Tanya Bach because I'm being told that she has a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. I'm here to talk to you about the KOAM Birthday Club, and you can be a part of it too. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up, and once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
A couple more comments to roll through here as far as asking the question, should there be additional COVID-19 restrictions coming off of the Thanksgiving holiday? Mandy Haynes says, nope. If they were really concerned, they would have worked to cancel Black Friday, not Thanksgiving. Mandy says, wear a mask, wash your hands, and live your life. Becky Mingarelli says, tough question. I've always been a suck it up kind of person, but when people are dying by the thousands, it makes one think. Some people say, just stay at home if you're worried. If I stay at home, the guilt of making my coworkers do my job eats away at me. If I go to work, it's a constant worry that if I do get COVID-19, will it make my asthma work? Will I become a COVID stat? I just really do not see why asking people to put on a simple little mask makes them so mad. Is your freedom to not wear a mask or drink at a bar more important than saving a life? I think Becky did a great job summing it up there without actually, coming to a hard answer on that. Thank you, Becky. Well thought out. lot of questions. Insta poll this morning. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. At one point in time, we were sitting 50-50 right now. We've got 59% saying yes, there should be additional restrictions put in place. Keep the poll open all morning. We'll run some results here coming up when we flip over to Fox. Tanya?
All right, here's a check of your top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Local healthcare professionals brace for a surge in cases following Thanksgiving. They say they expect surges following Thanksgiving gatherings, just as there were at Memorial Day and Halloween. So right now they're preparing by increasing the number of beds in their COVID units and asking for staters to follow recommendations like wearing masks and social distancing. CDC recommends people get tested 3 to 5 days after traveling and that they quarantine for 7 days, even if that test comes back negative, just to be safe. The Newton County Health Department says COVID's incubation time is about 2 to 14 days, and that means over the next 2 weeks, surrounding counties could see a spike in cases. Kansas's election results are official after Monday's meeting of the State Board of Canvassers. Governor Kelly, Secretary of State Scott Schwab, and Deputy Attorney General Athena Andaya met at the State House to certify the state's election results. And with every county passing, the results for Kansas are now final. An increase in online shopping during this pandemic could also mean an increase in porch pirates. A study done by Safewise.com found that more than 75% of package thefts from the past year occurred during the pandemic. Joplin Police Department is concerned about an increase in property theft during this holiday season, with more people staying home and ordering online. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
A little shift in the wind, going to put us up into the 50s on this first day of December. Overnight, a little cloud cover reemerges. That helps out, keeps us, from dropping down to the 20s like it has been. And then we've got rain that develops tomorrow afternoon, takes us through the nighttime hours, a little wintry mix flipping over late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. Really going to have to be in the northwest portion of the 4 states to see any accumulation to speak of, and the travel impact should be extremely limited.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making beef bourguignon in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM, CBS Morning News, coming up next.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. Today, we're giving you a chance to make a difference in the lives of 4-state families, and it's as easy as making a phone call.
So during the KOAM News at Noon, our Toy Box Telethon operators will be taking your calls and donations for the KOAM Toy Box. So please, if you can, call in. And if you don't want to call in, you don't want to wait, you just go online. You can make your donation right now.
That's right. You can go to KOAMnewsnow.com and go to the KOAM News app and click on Toy Box at the top of the page. Donate 24/7.
That's right, and thanks to all of you out there who for the past 32 years have been making 4-state dreams come true for our children. And it just truly is an honor and a privilege to be a part of it. And thank you for all that you've donated so far, and in advance for those of you that are going to take part in our month-long telethons. All right, wraps it up for this Tuesday edition. I want you to have a great, safe day, and we'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.